Have you ever used a blonde box dye and not got the result that you expected? Well, I'm a hairstylist, colorist and educator with 37 years experience. Keep on watching because I'm going to tell you how to get your best blonde box dye ever. Hello and welcome to the world of Craig. Yes, that's me, I'm Craig, and this is my channel where we get into all things hair and sometimes a little bit of beauty. You've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the splashy intro. This video is all about how to get the best, the very best from blonde box dye, air quotes, sorry. As I call it, home hair color. I had a video that I made just over a year ago. This one, which completely blew up, and a lot of you saw it, and I know a lot of my subscribers now colour their own hair at home. And when I go through the comments, like review sections of home hair colour products, the same comments come up time and time again. You know, you've used a blonde colour and you've got a terrible result and you really don't like it, or you think the product isn't very good. Well, there are hard and fast, not rules if you like, but ways to get the best from the product. And I'm going to take you through all of those, oh yes I am, and a bit of the science and how you can diagnose, if you like, how you can do your own consultations before you buy any product to get the best result. Just to mention before we get into all of the goodness, that if you're a hair professional watching this, I would and thank you if you are a hair professional watching this. I have a lot of subscribers who are hair pros like myself, and I do have lots of subscribers who are consumers. Hello to all of you. If you are a hair professional watching this and you're thinking, well, why is he a hair professional telling people how to get the best box dye blonde? Well, it might surprise you to know that up to 40% of people that colour their own hair do it themselves. I am here for everybody. My channel is inclusive of everybody. And it's also surprising to lots of people to know that there really isn't very much between pro products and home use products. It really is how you use them and what you do with them. But you know, I've been in some of the labs and the products are really very, very similar. No one is out to get you. No brand is going to make a product that is terrible. It's how you use it that gets you the best results. Also, just to mention, if you enjoy this and find it helpful, you know exactly what to do. You know, you liking this, sharing it with a friend really does help to get my content out there. And I am all about everyone having the best hair, regardless of how much money they have to spend, and sharing as much education as I can on everything hair related for everybody. There we go. Just to mention as well that there is a box dye playlist here on my channel that has box dye videos in it, yes. Now, let's start at the very beginning for anybody that has very minimal knowledge, and I'm going to use a box of Colour Strong to, you know, basically share this with you. This video is not sponsored, it's not paid for content. I do have a contract with Clairol, I am an ambassador for them, I am bringing education on Colour Strong, but this video is not sponsored. That is not how I operate. I am always completely transparent with you, but I have this box in my office cupboard over there. So I just want to start off at the very beginning, very briefly. Permanent hair color, permanent blonde hair color, which is what this is all about, always has two components. It has the color itself, which is very often in a cream base in a tube like this. Not always, but often, especially with home use products. In a tube, this will contain either ammonia or MEA. This one is MEA, and that is what is an alkalizing agent that opens the cuticle. It doesn't open it, but it swells the cuticle and lets the dye precursor molecules into the hair to change the color. Then you have a peroxide. In this case, and this is level 10, I think. Yes, this is a level 10. And in this case, this has 30 volume peroxide. Remember that, because that's very, very important. The peroxide is mixed with the color. Neither of these work on their own. There is a common misconception that peroxide is the thing that does the lifting. It's not, it's the mixture of these two. There are many videos that go into that here on my channel. I just wanted to share that very briefly because then it gives you context to what we're going to talk about. Okay, moving on. Now I have already mentioned it very briefly, but let's talk about peroxide. Yes, an incredibly important part, well, a necessary part of any permanent hair color, especially when it comes to blondes because you need the hair to be lifted generally, not always. Now, I just want to mention here that generally, as a rule of thumb, with home use products, okay, a permanent colour that is on a level 6 or below uses 20 volume peroxide. Remember that. I also want to just mention here that I don't know why. I think it could be hair professionals that have created breakthrough myths, or maybe, I hope not, or maybe telling clients to stay away from box dye because it's bad, bad for them, that blonde levels are level 7 to a level 10. I'm not talking about high lift, I'm not talking about bleach, I'm talking about a level 7, pops chart on screen, to a level 10. Now they contain 30 volume peroxide. That's the biggest takeaway from this video. If you've come here to watch it to get your best box dye blonde, we're gonna go through those scenarios in a second, but if you're coming here to get that information, remember 30 volume, and 30 volume will only ever give you, and I'm talking generally, but I know with Clairol, I know with Colour Strong, this video is not sponsored, with Colour Strong, it is 30 volume in a level 7 to a level 10. Okay, let that information go in. You will get 3 levels of lift as a maximum. You won't get more than 3 levels, you might get slightly less than 3 levels. 3 levels of lift with a box dye blonde, okay? Super important to remember. I will just say at this point, if you want to be platinum blonde, if you want to be icy blonde, regardless of what your natural starting point is, you're gonna need to use a bleach. Okay, your hair is going to need to be bleached. There will be people that disagree with me on that one and say that high lift tints, which we're not talking about in this video, will get you there. But in my opinion, they will not give you a super translucent blonde. Okay, so let's get into those. Remember, 30 volume, 3 levels of lift. Now, let's get into some scenarios. So when you're scrolling online or you're stood in the drugstore / chemist looking for a home hair color product and you want to be blonde, how on earth do you choose? And how on earth can you decide how you're going to get the best results? Well, it really is quite simple, and there is a diagnostic, method, if you like, system of doing that. So I'm going to put the level chart back on screen, okay? And then let's get into how you do that. Let's start off with something that I know, that is very tricky for people if you're naturally a very deep base. Okay, so let's say that you are a level 4 naturally, okay? And then you want to be blonde and you buy a product, and we're going to just talk very, very generally here. I'm not going to focus on a specific brand because that will confuse people, and brands will differ very slightly, but this is hair color theory. It is the science of how it works, okay? You're a natural level 4 and you buy a 9, something that sits on a level 9. The tonal value after that number will be different for whatever brand it is you're using, which is why I'm talking generally. But you are a level 4 and you get to the point, Craig, when you buy a level 9. Remembering, you're only going to get 3 levels of lift maximum. So you go from a level 4 to a level 7. You will not be a level 9. And what will also happen is it will expose the natural warmth in that darker level. So the result will be a very warm level 7, which is why so many people are disappointed. I hope that visual and that explanation is simple for people to get their head around, because I've put a lot of thought into it. Secondly, let's try a scenario where you would get what we call as hair professionals, as hair colorists, target shade, okay? So let's say you start off as a natural level 7. Okay, so you are naturally very light. And you buy a level 9, that level 9 again, good old level 9, okay? And you apply the colour, you follow the instructions, etc., etc. Because that product contains 30 volume and you get 3 levels of lift, you will get the target level of lift because you're actually only going the 2 levels. Does that make sense? So the way to look at it is if you are deeper and darker naturally, then you always need to manage your own expectations. And it's the same if you're a hair professional in salon and you're mixing up formulas for clients, but you always need to manage your own expectations, that it's unrealistic with a permanent colour that only has 30 volume for you to get maximum lift if you are a very deep or dark base. Right, let's talk about grey hair. So what about grey hair if you want your best box dye blonde? Well, that's quite straightforward really. If you are above 90% grey, in hairdressing we talk a lot about canvas. So obviously somebody that is over 90% grey, the majority of their hair is going to be white. Don't like to really use that word, but grey hair is effectively lacking in pigment. So therefore it means that it's the perfect canvas if it's over 90% in order to use a home use blonde and to get a result that's very similar from whatever is on the front of the packet. Of course, it's quite hard to tell on the front of a packet sometimes, isn't it? But you know, I'm sure a lot of brands have things online as well that will help you. But it's really important to remember here, if you are very grey around your hairline, but the rest of your hair is very dark, say for example, the back of your hair is a level 5 and the front of your hair is all white, you need to remember that this would be target shade, but this would not be the level. If you, again, let's say this time, no, let's say a level 9 again, because it keeps it simple. If you put a level 9 on, this will be a level 9, but if this is a level 5, you're only going to get those 3 levels of lift, so it would be a level 8, and it would be a warm level 8. Even if you use the strongest ash known to man, it's still going to be warm because there's not enough energy to make the hair light as it deposits the tone. So, you know, if you do have very white hair and you want to be really blonde, then it's very straightforward with a home use product. Of course, it depends from brand to brand, but you can get very good results on very grey hair. A couple of bonus things to remember before I say goodbye, and that is that tint will never lift tint. So if you already have colour on your hair somewhere and you want to be a home colour blonde, putting that blonde over the other tint that's already on the hair will not lift it. It's a completely different thing. I have videos on how to remove colour here on my channel as well, but tint doesn't lift tint. It's also worth mentioning that you need to use plenty of product in order to get lift from any hair colouring product. You know, whether it's a permanent colour, whether it's bleach, whether it's any of the other types of hair colour, you must use plenty of product. If you think you're going to need more than one box of colour, then buy more than one, because running out or spreading it out too thinly will not get you maximum lift. It's also worth remembering that within what we've talked about in this video, everyone's hair is a slightly different colour. How crazy is that? Just like we all have different colour eyes. No two pairs of eyes are the same colour. Well, they are, but yours won't be. So everyone's going to get a slightly different result. You can get very blonde people with very blue eyes who have warmth in their hair, so their hair lives very warm. So if you're really unsure, do a strand test. Buy the product, mix up a tiny amount, seal the bottles very, very tightly afterwards, or the tube and the bottle, and then just do a little strand test. Leave the hair attached to your head just to see what result you are going to get. Always follow instructions, and if you've not used a product before, you must patch test yourself. The instructions will be of how to do that. The guidelines will be in an instruction leaflet in the box. It's very, very important that you do that, because allergic reaction to any product that has a chemical reaction can be very serious. We're at the end of the video. A huge thank you if you've got to the end. Thank you very much. Just a quick reminder that if you enjoyed it and found it helpful, you know exactly what to do. And check out that playlist, which is it's full of box dye videos here on my channel. Do you have a question about box dye, or do you have a favourite home use hair colour that you'd like to share? I'd love to know in the comments. I can't give you individual hair colour specific formulas or tell you what box to buy because I can't see you and it's impossible to do it remotely, but I do love to get all of your questions and I love my community here on my channel. You'll take lots of care and I'll see you all in the next one.